Russia and Iranian and Ukraine's NATO facility.
And we are live. Once again, another week with my good friend, Larry Johnson. Larry, how are you doing?
I am well. Good to be with you again, Marcelo.
It's always great to have these conversations with you, man. Today I was thinking about talking about this, three big fires. And I'm not talking about Starmer. I'm talking about the United States. Larry, we have Trump trash talking Putin. We have the US and Iran negotiations. And we had that scene with Cyril Ramaphosa on the White House. Does Trump has any idea what he's doing? This question is probably getting old.
Yeah, it is. He's certainly not operating from a strategic plan. He appears to be someone who's driven very much by emotion and lets his emotions take control. So that's why, at least we've seen the emotions with respect to Putin and with respect to Ramaphosa. Let's start with Ramaphosa. There is no denying that there are attacks on white farmers, and it's based on race in South Africa. And, some would say turnabout is fair play, given all of the years that the white farmers targeted the black civilians in and around their farms and homes. It's not genocide. That it is not genocide. It is racism. And yet Trump tried to portray it as genocide, as a way to just sort of punch back at South Africa for its role in bringing charges against Israel in the International Criminal Court for its actual bona fide genocide. So it was sort of a shameful moment. It was you could make a case that Trump was engaging with a bit of racist imagery. And it wasn't fair. It wasn't, if you're really serious about saying, hey, you've got this problem in South Africa, let's talk about what can we do to help you turn this around. You have that conversation in private, but to do this in public, this was designed to score political points to make Trump feel good. And it's certainly not the kind of move that a statesman would make. So, you've got that. The increasingly harsh comments directed at Vladimir Putin over the last 2 days, and he just did another one today I just saw before coming on air with you, is just Trump is totally cut off from reality. He claimed that Putin was crazy, that there was no reason for Russia to launch 800 plus drones and 83 ballistic missiles. It targets military targets in Ukraine, throughout Ukraine, and it said nothing about the numbers at 1,400 drones that Ukraine fired into Russian territory prior to that. It was definitely a response by Russia to Ukrainian provocation. The only difference being that Russia targeted military facilities, was not targeting civilians, and went to a lot of effort to make sure that they avoided killing and wounding civilians. And we know that simply by the large number of drones and missiles launched and the very, very, very small number of actual civilian casualties. Same can't be said for Ukraine. So within all this, Trump is pretending like Russia and Putin are doing this just for no good reason, just to shove it in his face. It's juvenile.
It's unprovoked.
Yeah, just it's ridiculous. So, Trump, if he persists in that, he's going to destroy any basis of dialogue with Russia. But Russia's, they're fed up. They've dealt with enough U.S. lies over the last 30 years. Lie after lie after lie. And while they're not going to seek a direct confrontation with the United States, if it can be avoided, they're not going to cower and submit at all. They're going to do what's in their best interest. If the United States doesn't like it, too damn bad. And if the United States wants to try to do something about it, step up. So, we've got that going on. With respect to the peace talks with Iran, there appears to be some progress. After we talked last week, the outcome of the fifth round of talks was the Pezeshkian or Arakshi, the Iranian foreign minister, was pretty upbeat. He said, hey, so, we made some progress. There's some difficult things to be ironed out. And then Trump was dropping hints yesterday that they might have a deal. I hope that's the case, because otherwise Trump's painted himself again into a corner where he's vowed that he will attack Iran. And if he does, I think there's a very good chance that the United States will get its ass handed to it.
Larry, this is it's amazing. I mean, I was just reading your blog, sonar21.com, and you actually posted the tweet from Arakshi, right?
Right.
And he said it seems to be a very simple math. No nuclear bombs, we have a deal. We don't want this. We don't want nuclear bombs anyway. No enrichment of uranium, no deal. So I guess that's not so hard to get the middle term from that.
Yeah, it's very. The problem is that Israel will not accept that, and it appears that Trump is under the control of Bibi Netanyahu and the Zionists. He's going to have to break free of that. He's certainly done things that have fostered the image that he is, in fact, completely under the thumb of these Zionist thugs.
Yeah, this is the part that it puzzles me. I guess it puzzles everybody because it really sounds like. I'm not saying it's happening. It sounds like Trump is trying to distance the United States from Israel, but under the hood, we see that that's not what's happening.
Yeah, it depends on the issue and depends on the day. Trump, he is he's sort of like the Roman god Jupiter, or Janus. Janus, which looks in two different directions, and that's Trump. You can find him on opposite sides of the fence every day on the same issue, regardless of what the issue is. So this, what he's proving himself to be is not a reliable partner in any kind of negotiation. That anything he says, he can change in a heartbeat, in a flash, and just based upon what he's heard on the latest television. Oh, I just heard this on Fox News. May not be true, but he heard it, by God, and he's going to act on it.
You mentioned this is amazing, Larry, because just yesterday I saw that a CNN correspondent, said that privately, Witkoff told him that, oh, there's no deal with Hamas. And talking about Hamas now. Oh, there's no deal with Hamas. They don't listen, blah, blah, blah. And then the Israeli Twitter page, shitter page, reposted this as, maximal truth. So this is a CNN gossip, and then a state, liking it or not, it's a state, posted on X on This is true. This is barely basically pushing the narrative that this is the truth. We have to do something about it. Just after Witkoff actually posted the White House, reposted the White House, where he says that there have been some advances on talks with Hamas. How does this dynamic works, Larry? You worked many years on Open TV. How does this dynamic works on using the new or the fake news? I'm not sure. Perhaps the gossip's true, perhaps not. It's gossip. How do they use this to make politics works on their behalf?
Well, it's not, the actual report is that Hamas came out and said that they had agreed on a 10-point plan, and they had accepted a 70-day ceasefire as opposed to 90-day ceasefire. And then when the Israelis found out about it, they rejected it, said absolutely no way. And then Witkoff comes out in public and disavows what was agreed upon. So, this isn't, again, this is amateur hour, how these people are doing this. This is all, whenever you see something aired in the public like this, it lets you know that there's something else afoot. There's some other agenda being pursued. We saw that on was it Sunday or Saturday, the 24th, when the Washington Post published this piece by Karen DeYoung and two other female reporters, basically saying that Russia was losing the war. Now, the reason they put this out, none of the three writers had any military experience whatsoever. They were, I called it chicks on parade. It was just, a bunch of, it was an estrogen show. And the fact of the matter is, they're being used to apply pressure to Trump to renew aid to Ukraine, because they tried to present everything as if, the Russians are losing. If you just a little more pressure, man, they're going to collapse. I mean, we've been hearing that nonsense for 3 years, and they continue to push it. So that's the only play they got.
Absolutely correct, Larry. Absolutely correct. Talking about beach parade, we just had this week an amazing video. Moving a little bit to Europe, we just have an amazing
Brigitte smacking Macron. Yeah,
beach slapping, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. There the question is, who's the bitch?
Are these guys in Europe trying to convince Putin to go all the way up to Portugal? Because it's not an incentive to stop, I would say.
Oh my God. Putin looks at that and says, why in the world would I want to have to take care of that? Look at the freak show that Europe is right now. So you got Keir Starmer getting his house torched by, apparently 3 of his former male prostitutes. Apparently that's what it looks like. These guys were Ukrainian models. And
no. 2 Ukrainian models and 1 fashion whatever.
Well, one was described as having a history as an escort.
Okay.
Escorts are those that you call up for, hey, go out on a date, and you always go for the happy ending, as they call it.
I know those. I had one once. It was a Ford Escort.
Oh yeah, well we're not talking the car, dude. But here's Starmer, where the tabloids are having a field day with this. The regular newspapers are trying to ignore it. But how do you get in a relationship with these 3 Ukrainian guys? And did you have a group gangbang, or was it one-on-one? Does this explain why you're so obsessed with Iran, with Ukraine? Got that. Then you got Macron, getting smacked around with his wife, who, then then you deal with all the allegations out of like Candace Owen, well, from those French reporters who claimed that Brigitte was actually she's
Has very big hands.
flexible in her pronouns. He, she, they, them,
Great.
me, you. I don't know.
Great definition.
Then
I have to watch my words because I'm in Europe. But
yeah.
go ahead.
But then you go to Germany, and Merz is out shooting his mouth off yesterday. Oh yeah, we've agreed. We've got approval to launch long-range missiles into Russia. And then another member of his government says, "What the hell is he talking about? No, that's not true." You know, so we don't know. So your short answer: Europe's a mess, and Putin. And if they decide to, if they actually decide to launch Taurus missiles into Russia, I suspect we'll see Russia use the Orushnik, the intermediate range ballistic missile, on military targets in the country where. And you froze. You're back.
Oh, I'm back. Okay. Oh yeah, that's true. Amazing how I wrote this in the exactly same order that you said. Macron, Stormer, and Merz. We have not combined this previously.
No, we haven't planned. This is all unscripted.
Unscripted as usual. It's really you define it perfectly, Larry. Europe is a mess, and we have no idea what to do here. That's the truth.
But Europe is, they're like a drowning man, grabbing at anything, everything, trying to stay afloat, trying not to die. They're dying. Europe is headed to the, as they call it, the dustbin of history. And it is because they're really no longer relevant. Their currencies are not the currencies that control and dominate the world. In fact, the Brits right now, they're having trouble selling their what's called their gilts, the bonds. They keep trying to raise the price for. Nobody wants to buy the long-term stuff. Everybody wants short-term. So they're going to wind up with a liquidity crisis real soon. Their industries are collapsing. Germany is being dismantled piece by piece, and they're not sitting on some load of great natural resources. So they're genuinely going to be in a crisis because they've got aging populations. Their workforces are not large enough to produce income that's going to sustain those aging populations. It's going to get real ugly.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Things are really ugly here. Larry, I want to go back to the United States. I forgot. I jumped this. This week there was a what's it called, an audition with Marco Rubio in the Congress, right? On the House of Commons, right?
No, well, I think there was. You mean the testimony he gave, a hearing?
The testimony he gave, yeah.
Yeah, he was. I think it was the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. I think he also testified before the House. But what specific question or exchange are you referring to?
So I wrote this. I forgot to write the name of the senator that asked him to, condemn Vladimir Putin as a war criminal.
Right.
This exchange got very popular, and I would like to understand how exactly these hearings happened, because just in Brazil we're having something very similar, and I would like to understand this. Why does this? Perhaps it's not a senator. Correct if I'm wrong. Why did this senator constantly harass Marco Rubio? We may make a case if Rubio is a good or bad politician, but he was harassed into condemning Putin as a war criminal, or calling Putin a war criminal. And this is not how things should happen, or is it?
Well, no, this is Congress is it's a spectacle. It's a show. It's like putting on the musical Evita or West Side Story. They come up with the Rubio wrote his remarks out in advance, and these senators decided what kinds of questions they were going to make and grandstand, try to create a viral moment, which they did sort of. It has nothing to do with policy. This all has to do with politics.
So, but my big question here is this: this senator was acting accordingly to the Constitution of the United States. I would say, I would ask. I mean, this behavior is acceptable.
It's a democracy. They're welcome to say any stupid thing they want. Yeah.
Unless this stupid thing is against Ukraine, Israel, or whatever.
If stupidity were a crime, then every member of Congress would probably be in handcuffs and in jail. But that's not how it works. So the thing that's really concerning is the way the media is presenting the narrative, both with respect to Russia and with respect to Iran and with respect to China, that there is no voice allowed to speak out on behalf of the Russians, on behalf of Iran, on behalf of the Palestinians, and on behalf of China. It's very, very much a controlled information environment. And as such, the more you convince people of a lie and the more they embrace that lie, then they begin to act upon that lie. And it's only when they, it's like if I tell you, hey, Marcelo, if you tie this rock onto your back and then you jump off a 30-story building, it's gonna open up as a parachute. Trust me. And I convince you. Well, I say it so many times that you say, oh man, this is true. Well, you do it, you're gonna die. And that's unfortunately sort of what's happening in the United States right now, that the Congress as a whole is being fed the lies about Putin and about Russia. And the same about it, anybody that speaks out on behalf of the Palestinians is labeled an anti-Semite. If you speak out on behalf of Russia, you're considered a stooge, a Putin, a puppet, someone drinking the Kool-Aid. So they're just, the critical thinking skills in America have just evaporated.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely. Well, I'm sad to say that's just not only in America.
Yeah, it's affecting Europe as well. That's for sure.
Yeah, and South America. Well, we try our best to do what we can.
Yep.
Larry Johnson, thank you very much. I'll remember everybody to like, share, subscribe, follow Larry on Sonar21. This show is also broadcasted to his channels on Rumble and BitChute. And you have also the counter currents. All the links are in the description. Don't forget. And get daily updates on, almost daily, basically daily updates on Sonar21. Fantastic blog. Larry Johnson, my friend, thank you very much for another week.
All right, Marcelo, we'll see you next week. Thanks, man.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.